I'd like to welcome everyone to the Senate Commerce Committee. We are going to open the hearing on House Bill 2336, increasing the bonding authority to $10 million under the Surplus Property and Public Airport Authority Act. We will start with an overview from our reviser, Charles.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Yes, this bill amends the Surplus Property and Public Airport Authority Act. It provides with respect bonding authority of the Board of Directors of a public airport authority. Their limitations on their bonding authority under current law is $1 million. This bill increases it to $10 million for the purpose of general obligation bonds. And that's what the bill.
Committee questions for Charles. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. $10 million. Do you know how that figure was arrived at, or is that a question you prefer that I ask the conferee?
Yeah, I would respectfully pass on that.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Any other questions for Charles? Seeing none, thank you, Charles. We will move to proponent testimony. First proponent is John Federico from Federico Durst Consulting on behalf of the Metropolitan Topeka Airport Authority. Welcome to committee, John.
Madam Chair, this is a pretty straightforward bill, and I wanted to just appear before you to do two things. One is highlight the testimony submitted by the chair of the MTAA and a board member, both of who were unable to make it because of an unmovable conflict. The second is to point out an amendment that was to be offered on the House side, but because of a snafu wasn't, and I would respectfully request that it be considered when and if you work this bill. To the testimony with the MTAA heading, I'll reference just the two paragraphs, the second and third. The Philip Billard Municipal Airport and the Topeka Regional Airport are vital to the economies of Topeka, Shawnee County, and Northeast Kansas, and present the opportunity for substantial economic growth. Unfortunately, both airports are outdated and in need of substantial renovation and modernization. Our airports lack hangars suitable for modern aircraft and lack the buildings and facilities necessary to attract businesses to Topeka and Shawnee County. While the MTAA and our community leaders are dedicated to the redevelopment and renovation of our airports, the MTAA is in need of additional tools and resources to assist in those efforts. And the next paragraph lays out a couple of things. The MTAA is currently evaluating a number of exciting improvements at the airports. Most notably is a site development project at the Topeka Regional Airport relating to an MRO facility for NIAR, which alone promises to bring hundreds of jobs and ancillary businesses to Topeka and assist in expanding our aviation footprint. The most recent estimate of site preparation expenses, including infrastructure and addressing substantial grade and drainage issues, is $30 million, and that figure does not include the additional and substantial expense of constructing the MRO hangar. And that is the substance of this bill and our request seeking your support of the increase in the bonding authority. To the amount, yes, it's currently statutorily set at $1 million. The House offered an amendment to increase it to $10 million, and we would request that attached to our testimony is the actual amendment, and what it would do is authorize a ceiling of 1.85% of the assessed valuation of all taxable tangible property within the county. This is an amendment that we deem critical to the bill if we are to seek funding to avail ourselves of some immediate opportunities out at the airports. And at the appropriate time, I believe Senator Dietrich will offer an amendment on our behalf. Following me with testimony is the attorney for the MTAA, who can answer any technical questions on this, and also from someone from the Greater Topeka Partnership, Curtis Sneeden, to talk about some of these exciting developments. So I am happy to stand for questions or wait until the end at the appropriate time.
Thank you, John. We will hold until all proponents have testified. Committee, next we have Timothy Resner, Legal Counsel, Metropolitan Topeka Airport Authority. Welcome, Timothy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And good morning. As Mr. Federico mentioned, I'm the attorney for the Metropolitan Topeka Airport Authority. I'm a partner with the law firm Frieden & Forbes here in Topeka, and I'm happy to testify on behalf of the MTAA today in support of House Bill 2336. This is an important economic development bill for Shawnee County, as it will assist our community leaders in utilizing our two airports for their intended purpose, and that is as economic engines for our community to attract additional aviation business and ancillary business to our airports and the community in general. Topeka Regional has the longest runway in the state of Kansas, and it's one of 3 airports in our state that can accommodate these large 777 planes that are the subject of the NIAR Works program, which is a very exciting program, MRO program for our state. In addition to this asset, there are approximately 600 acres of greenfield space at Topeka Regional alone that are available for development for aviation and non-aviation focused development. This includes projects such as NIAR Works and much needed hangar space that is very scarce in our region. So House Bill 2336 would seek to increase the bonding authority to a level that's closer to meeting the needs of a modern airport. The statute currently has been said, sets the limit at $1 million. Obviously, this number is way out of line with modern construction costs and what's needed to construct a hangar that can accommodate modern aircraft today. And frankly, it's of little to no utility to the MTAA. So while modernizing the bonding authority through House Bill 2336, we keep in place the mechanism that requires the MTAA to consider a resolution for the bond issuance at a public meeting, and also requires the authorization, issuance, registration, and sale of the bonds to conform to Kansas general bond law. And last, I'd mention that House Bill 2336 also leaves in place the mechanism that would allow a public protest petition to be levied in response to a proposed bond issuance as well. I thank you for your time and consideration of this important economic development bill for Shawnee County, one that will modernize and allow for further development of our airports to use them for the purpose that we really do need to use them for our area. And I'm happy to stand for questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Committee, next we have Curtis Sneeden, President of the Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Curtis.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I am Curtis Sneeden, President of the Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is part of a larger organization called the Greater Topeka Partnership. We are pursuing a range of initiatives, all with a singular purpose, that is to make the future of Topeka, Shawnee County, and Kansas more prosperous for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. One key to that future is unleashing the economic potential within Topeka Regional Airport, what most of us call Forbes, and Billard Airport. As noted, Forbes has a couple of million square feet of apron space, hundreds of acres of leasable ground, and a runway you could have landed the space shuttle on. Forbes is primed to take its place as a jewel in Kansas' aviation crown. And that's not just wishful thinking. Our economic developers field calls all the time from firms around the world who have a sense of what Forbes Field could offer to them. One of those prospects recently was an Australian firm who visited Topeka. They had narrowed their list of relocation sites down to 3, and Topeka was one of them. They chose to go elsewhere, but this firm, in a rare gesture, stayed behind to tell us why. And so we got to learn what it is about Forbes with all of its attributes nevertheless lacks. Clearly what's needed is a coherent strategy to position Forbes and Billard as hubs for advanced manufacturing, avionics, maybe cyber tech, and a strategy which would complement, not compete with, the existing aviation assets in Wichita and Salina. And what's also very clearly needed are major upgrades in the physical environment at these fields so that future prospects like that can tell at a glance, this is a place where we could do business. Our community, our mayor, our county commission, our business leaders, the airport authority have all galvanized around doing the tangible things that are necessary to make sure our air industrial parks are ready for these opportunities when they come. Now, mention has been made of the NIAR Works project. The idea of these 777s coming to Topeka for the next 20 years has us all a little slack-jawed, I will confess that. But it's an incredible opportunity, and if we're going to take advantage of that when it comes, we've got to do the site preparation now. We've got to get started building the hangar space, the access roads. That's work that needs to be done now. And actually, NIAR is just one of many possibilities. We have a firm that's hosted out at Billard that works in the field of remote sensing and data analysis. It's a very sophisticated firm. They are poised to grow, but in order to do so, they need more facilities and a more sophisticated security fence than is currently in place. That's the sort of upgrade we need to be making now to clear the way for growth to come. It's going to be expensive, and most of those upgrades that you've heard about are beyond the budgetary capacity of our airport authority right now. That current law restricts our bonding authority. It's from the 70s. We here in Shawnee County are ready to do the hard work, and what we're asking you to do with this bill is update that law and hand us back the tools we need to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Committee, that concludes our proponent testimony, so I will open for questions. Senator Schallenberger.
Thank you. Madam Chair, you can answer this, I bet. So it appears to me you could do this now, that the 1.85% of assessed valuation is on the books now as the limit. What you're actually changing is the requirement for a vote.
I agree with that, Senator.
Well, that's kind of, so you're saying you need more bonding authority, but you've already got it. It just requires a vote of the people. And rather than go to the vote of the people, you come to the legislature to try to get it.
That's an accurate portrayal. I would only add to that the sense of urgency that we've tried to convey here, the idea of...
I understand.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This would be for Mr. Federico. To begin with, I really appreciate having your wife in the audience because you've got a tie on, your shirt tail's tucked in, you combed your hair, and we're just not used to that at all. Just messing with you.
Appreciate that. And I'm sure everyone on YouTube does too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Forever and ever.
Yes.
On your amendment, it would exceed $10 million, correct?
Correct.
How much do you know about?
The estimates are, and Mr. Resner might be able to give a more accurate, I believe it's around $36 million.
Okay. So that, currently it's $1 million from 1978. With inflation, that would only be 4.6 million. And it was 10, and you want to go to 36, which That's fine, I guess. It doesn't affect District 15 where I'm from. But in your amendment, in the subject line, you strike the words up to, and then in your amendment, you put the words up to in. Did you not like the first up to words?
I would refer to the reviser.
I'm just again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Having a little
the
bit
question.
of fun with you because it's no big deal. It's just the amendment strikes up to 10 million and then inserts up to the statutory limit. It could just say strike the 10 million and put in the statutory limit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that's all that I can think of at this time for this conferee, but I may think of some additional.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, if I can, to Senator Schallenberger's point, you're exactly right. The context is exactly right, and I believe the answer was accurate also. It's the urgency. I think what's key to it is the mechanism for a protest petition. This just allows the city leaders and the city and county leaders and the MTAA to work quicker to try to get some of these projects moving.
Other questions? Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Follow up to that last comment. We have elections in August, November every year. So what quicker would you need in order to?
Senator, if I may, what leads up to these projects is pretty intensive. This is a federal surplus property airport, and so it's heavily regulated by the FAA as far as what you can do and what you can't do. They have in place use restrictions that says this has to be an aviation use area only, non-aviation use only. If you're going to change that or you're going to modify a long-term plan, you have to go through an FAA approval process. And the point I'm getting to is there's a lot that goes into these projects, and being tethered to all the work, the time, and the dollars, because it's very expensive to retain a planner to go ahead and lay out proposed future development. All that expense leading up to an election is very tedious, and it introduces a level of risk that makes it darn near unfeasible to pursue development this way. And so that's why, or at least a primary factor for the approach that we're seeking here.
Committee, additional questions? Seeing none, thank you to our proponents. I will draw the committee's attention to proponent written only by Aaron Mays, Commissioner of District 3, Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners, and Michael Padilla, Mayor of the City of Topeka. There are no neutral or opponent conferees or testimony submitted. So with that, we will close the hearing on House Bill 2336. Committee, we will now turn our attention to working bills previously heard. To refresh your memory, it's been a few days since we've met. We had started to take up House Bill 2042, which is the authorizing towing by self-storage unit operators bill. Do we need a refresher from Charles on that? Are we all familiar? Okay, since we'd already started working that, but happy to do that. As you'll recall, there was a question about the time period. 45 days, was that enough? And I believe we have a possible solution for that. So I believe there's an amendment. Senator Peck, would you?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I had asked a question, and I went back and forth within my own mind, debating on the correct number. And right or wrong, I settled on 60. So there's a balloon being handed out. It's simple. It just changed the number 45 to 60. So it's rather than 45 days, it's 60 days in two different locations within the bill. So whenever you want me to move for motion to amend, I will, but I think everyone's got the balloon. Pretty simple, straightforward.
Committee, are there questions on the amendment? Okay, seeing none, Senator, would you care to move your amendment?
Yes, ma'am. I would move that we amend House Bill 2042 with the balloon presented.
And I have a second from Senator Holland. Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Holland.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I do appreciate the good senator bringing his amendment. And just to clarify, obviously, they're not going to be able to tow basically the vehicles, anything on a trailer sounds like now to 60 days. And my understanding is that probably puts off the sale of those until 60 as well, too. Is that the carry of the amendment's understanding? I just want to be sure I understand.
Senator Peck.
Or is it just the towing?
I apologize, Madam Chairman. I was reading something else, and so I would ask if the question could be asked again.
Senator Holland.
So basically, obviously, it's going to basically extend the timeline default on towing the vehicle from 45 to 60 days. And I was just getting a clarification on, does that affect the sale period as well? Going from 45 to 60 days for the vehicles, or do we know?
Senator Peck. Senator Peck, I'm gonna have Charles. Charles looks like he could address this question. Charles?
Great, that saved me time.
Senator, no, it does not.
Okay.
For sale, it stays at 45 days.
Very good. And I'm very much comfortable with that language as it is. So anyway, I am appreciative for the senator bringing this amendment. I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Any other questions on the amendment? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We are on the base bill. Committee, what is your wish? Do we have a motion on the bill as amended?
Madam Chair, I move that we pass out House Bill 2042 as amended favorably for passage.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Senator Schallenberger. Further discussion on the bill. Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I realize I had brought up the date. I just want to confirm that we didn't create a conflict with that last amendment on the 45 days and the 60 days. Does the sale also need to be adjusted too?
Charles, I'm going to have you address that as well to make sure that we're not having a conflict.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I don't believe it would. There are provisions that provide for notice, but there wouldn't necessarily be a conflict. It's just the process would start at 45 days with a sale if the occupant is in default for that period of time, and 60 days with respect to towing.
So, Madam Chair.
Senator Tyson.
Thank you. So if they sell it, they can't tow it for another 15 days?
Charles, would you care to address that?
So if, this would be subject to check, but I think if they would sell a vehicle or, any watercraft, whatever, that was, whether they could tow it or not really wouldn't come within what the amendment was in this bill. It would really be, it's sold. And I think it could be towed after that. The towing provisions in this bill, pertain to, if there is no sale. The operator under this bill would have two options. The operator could sell the property, or the operator could just have the property towed, no sale. And so there are those two options. But I don't think this bill would prohibit towing of property once it's sold under the provisions of the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure, and he said, I think we should confirm that, but thank you.
Any other questions? Committee, I also would like, Charles drew my attention to, there are a couple of technical verbiage cleanups in the bill. Does anyone want explanation of those? Are we okay with those, striking an or in an appropriate place to make the language consistent with the bill? Is everyone comfortable with? Okay. Senator Holland.
No functional changes.
Charles? No.
Let's give them leeway.
Couple of verb, noun, agreement type things in there, so. Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Do you need a motion for that?
For the technical cleanups, you know, just so we cover our bases, let's do it by the book, so I would appreciate that. Are you moving the acceptance of the technical? I see a motion in a second, kind of informally, but I'll take that. A motion from Peck, a second by O'Shea to accept the technical cleanup from the reviser. All those any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, motion carries. Charles?
Just wanted to, since we're being pretty formal about this, just one of the things that I'd like to change is just the wordage describing self-service storage unit operators is just worded incorrectly. So I'm just going to be changing some words that mean the same thing.
Senator Peck.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. For clarification's sake, that was a substitute motion because we already had a motion on the floor to pass the bill out as amended.
Yes. So the substitute motion as amended.
The substitute motion was to allow for the technical.
To allow for the technical. So we're on the substitute motion to pass the bill as amended.
Allow for technical changes. To allow for technical changes.
To allow for the technical changes. Okay. So.
I didn't mean to confuse things. I just wanted to clarify.
No, I thought we took the vote on that substitute.
We did. Vote
We did.
Substitute, but we already had a motion on the floor, so it.
And now we need to move out the bill as amended. Okay. And
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Okay.
Again, because now we've got technical
As amended.
amendments, yes. So,
Okay, Senator Dietrich.
thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move that we pass out House Bill 2042 as amended.
And seconded by Senator O'Shea. Please, no more discussion, but I'll accept it if need be. Okay, seeing none, all in favor of passing House Bill 2042 as amended favorably, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is passed. Thank you so much, committee. We were going to work some additional bills, but it's come to my attention there may be some questions or amendments dealing with those. So here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow we are meeting, we're having a hearing on travel and tourism. We will plan on working the apprenticeship bill. So please come with any amendments or questions you may have as we work that bill. We will work the refrigerant bill if you need numbers. I've got those. House Bill 2173. Yes, and also the, give me that number, Connie. 2234. So those are the bills we will plan on working tomorrow. And,
2336
no. So plan on working those tomorrow after our hearing. Any other business for the committee? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.